Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of the TV is Our Real Mom podcast. I'm your host, Dave.
I'm also your host, Katie.
And in tonight's episode, we'll be covering Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 3.
4.
Is it 4 already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Wow, okay.
Sorry to tell you, but we're over halfway done.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's kind of sad in a way.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long time till Season 8, so.
Yeah. What, it's going to be over a year?
I don't know. That's the rumor.
Oh,
That's
geez.
the scuttlebutt.
Oh, goodness. Okay, then we're going to be covering Alone Season 4 episode, I think it's 8.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it's 8. Maybe it's 9. I don't know.
I think it's no more than 8.
What?
Not more than 8. It might
Right.
be 7. I think
Okay.
it's 8.
I think it's 8. Yeah, and then Big Brother, whatever the hell episode they're on over there.
They get up to like 50 in a season, so who knows?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so what's new with you, Katie? What's happening in your world?
Nothing. You know, the week coming back to work after a vacation is rough, and I just, finished my first full work week back, and I was tired. I was ready to sleep. So today was my first day off, and I didn't do much more than that.
Nice. Yeah, I can relate. Actually, at work, I stepped on a rusty nail. And to be honest, it wasn't that bad. It was like I felt it go through my shoe, so I felt it as it was going in, and it just barely went into my foot, like just a little bit.
Okay.
But just to be safe, I knew I was overdue for a tetanus shot, so I went right to the clinic to get a tetanus shot, just to play it safe, even though it didn't really go that far in.
No, just better safe than sorry.
Yeah, but they tell you, they're like, your shoulder might hurt a little bit, and you might have some flu-like symptoms, like maybe a light fever and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And the next day, I was at work, and my shoulder barely hurt at all. I was like, and you know how like your ego, you're always like, I have an awesome immune system. Like everyone's always like, my immune system kicks ass. Like this isn't going to affect me at all. And then later that day, like I just started getting aches and chills, and I went home that night, and I had like a fever all night long. Like,
oh no,
my face was like melting my pillow. Like that's how bad it was.
Is your pillow made of plastic?
No, but it's an expression. That's all. That's
okay,
all
I thought you meant that in seriousness. Okay.
No, but yeah. So today, I'm like, oh yeah, that should be over that now. And of course, I'm at work, and I get aches and chills again. My shoulder hurts like worse today than it did.
No way.
Yeah, so it's like I had no idea like I was actually gonna. You never think you're actually gonna have that kind of reaction to like a tetanus shot, but like I totally did.
Jeez, it's been a couple decades since I've had a tetanus shot. Perhaps I should get one.
Yeah,
But
you're overdue.
doesn't sound pleasant.
No, I mean, I don't know why I'm reacting like this. I'm guessing most people don't react this bad, but I just napped. Like I got home from work tonight and just napped for like an hour and a half. So I'm pretty fresh.
Any excuse to just lay around and watch TV or take a nap is, a good one.
Yeah, I mean, even though it sucks being sick, like I got to nap, so that's good.
You seem like you're better now.
Yeah, I feel a lot better now. Yeah, that nap really set me straight. So
naps are good.
Yeah. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump right into Game of Thrones.
Oh boy, it was a humdinger.
Yeah. So where to begin? I never know where to start with these.
There wasn't that much that happened in this. I mean, there was a lot that happened, but there wasn't like 8 storylines to keep track of. There was really only a few. How did it start? How did the episode start? Oh gosh, I forget the first.
I was gonna try to pull up like some kind of recap here so I could sort of have something to go off of.
I just don't remember the very first scene, but I know. Okay, you had Arya returning to Winterfell, her fight with Brienne. You had Bran and Littlefinger. You had Jon and Dany in the cave, and then Cersei talking to the banker. I think that might have been one of the earliest scenes, and then the battle. I think that was about it.
Right. So Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess let's start with Arya's return to Winterfell is probably a good place to start.
Oh, yeah, I guess it started with sorry, I just pulled up a recap. It started with Bran and not Bran, Braun and Jamie
Okay, that's where it started. So it
in the
started in the
field.
same place it ended.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, you want to start with Arya? Is that what you said?
I mean, I thought that was a good place to start.
Sure, yeah.
Probably the more emotional crux of the episode was the Stark reunion. I mean, when's the last time you saw three Starks together?
Yeah, that was pretty
Episode
sweet.
one? Well, Ned, Sansa, and Arya, I suppose, in season one. But since then,
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen the Starks together. That was pretty cool.
very cool.
Um, yeah, so Arya, they won't let her in at first,
No,
and
because they're
how,
dumb guards.
yeah, how does she get in again? She just
She
says
sneaks past him.
she just goes. She convinces him, doesn't
She
she?
convinces him, and then they tell her to wait there, and they turn their backs, and she's gone. So they don't really,
Oh yeah,
she doesn't
and
really
then
need their permission to get in. But
right, and Sansa knows exactly where she is.
yes,
She's at their father's statue.
in the crypts.
Yeah, what did you think of the dialogue between them and the reunion of the two sisters?
I thought it was pretty good because they were never like super close, so there was always going to be an awkwardness there, but also like the unspoken trials that they've been through is, and just the fact that they found each other again is a bond that they can't deny. So it was like a good mix of awkwardness and warmth, I suppose.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like while they were talking, was like, oh yeah, didn't these two like used to really hate each other like a lot? And
Yeah.
but I suppose yeah, as with everything they've been through and losing all the family members they've lost, like none of that
Mhm.
matters anymore. Obviously.
I think it's interesting that, back in the very first episode or very first season, Arya wanted to become a warrior, a fighter, and Sansa wanted to become a lady. And here they are. They have achieved their goals, but the toll that it has taken on them is like just plain on their faces what they had to go through to actually get where they are.
Right. I think both of them say like it's a long story and it
Not a
sucked.
good one.
And they're like same here. It's
Yeah.
like yeah, they both had a tough road.
I was blind. I was married to two. Well, one of her husbands wasn't a psycho, but I was married to one psycho and another Lannister. It, they
I
both, I mean,
think
and then
Joffrey was pretty psycho.
well, she wasn't married to him. I guess she was
Oh,
engaged to a psycho, married to another psycho, and in between married to Tyrion.
oh yeah, I forgot about
For
that.
so, and then, and all the other crap that happened in between. So, I would just be fun, and I know it wouldn't make sense in the narrative, but to like have the three Stark kids and then bring Jon Snow back into the mix and like swap stories. And Arya can be like, yeah, I was blinded and stabbed in the stomach by a psychotic waif of the faceless man. And then John's like, well, guess what? I died. Just to have
Yes,
them all swapping war stories would be
yes,
funny.
some kind of quick little story swap between the characters would be pretty cool. I think.
It wouldn't really fit in the tone of the show, but it would be funny.
Right. So yeah, I think that was cool that like they sort of had Sansa watching Arya during this fight scene with Brienne. Brienne, how do you say her name?
Which was amazing. Brienne.
Yeah, that was
Um,
a really good
that was
like
so good.
well choreographed fight scene. Like as you get older and you've watched a million TV shows and action movies and stuff, like a lot of times like fight scenes don't necessarily hold your attention because they
Mhm.
can I'll speak for myself personally. That's how I feel sometimes. Like if a fight scene isn't like really well done, it doesn't like I hardly even pay attention sometimes
Yeah.
because it's so generic and cliche. But like that's how you know a scene is good is if it holds your attention. You're like, that was really well choreographed. So
Yeah, it was very neat. And I was, why Littlefinger's looking on because he's like, mother effer, these two Starks are back and they've brought superpowers with them and I'm screwed. But like, why does Sansa like look so pissed off or not pleased when she sees Arya fighting? What's that about?
I didn't get that sense. Is that like the general consensus that
Yeah,
that's
she's
how
like
she
looking
responded?
on, and when they finish, they look up, and Sansa just kind of looks disgusted and walks away before Littlefinger even does.
Yeah, all I can think of is that Sansa still holds some of those like old beliefs that she held when she was younger, that like Arya should have been a lady, like women aren't meant to fight. I don't know. That doesn't
Why
make
would she
sense.
think that after all
That
she's been
I know that
through?
doesn't sound right because like, Brienne,
Yeah,
like
Brienne's her guardian.
she must have respect for Brienne as a lady warrior. But maybe she didn't want that for Arya. I know that was always a point of like what's the word I'm looking for? A point of conflict between the two of them, that
Yeah, but they were children.
right. And yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't know what else it would be though. What do you think it is?
Well, I was thinking maybe she's just annoyed that,
She wants to
like,
die.
if no, like if Arya had been in the situation Sansa has found herself in, she could have defended herself and gotten out of them. Like maybe she's jealous in some way that Arya is able to defend herself.
Oh, that could be. I like that theory. That's good.
But I honestly don't know, and I was so confused. I was like, "Are we supposed to understand this?" Because I really don't. I didn't get it. I thought she'd be like, "Wow, she's a handy person to have around." Like I have Brienne and Arya, but instead she's like pissed.
Right. Well, yeah.
But
I don't
maybe you're
know.
right. Maybe there's something to like she's the lord basically of Winterfell until Jon gets back, and she doesn't want Arya making her look bad. She's got this psychotic brother seemingly, and then this crazy fighter sister. She's like, everyone's gonna think we're just a bunch of weirdos. And
Yeah.
my brother John, who came back from the dead, like I'm the only normal one.
Yeah, or it's like she wants Arya, like she just got Arya back and she wants Arya to be safe, and now here
Maybe.
here she is. She's like, oh great, like she's gonna go out and get herself killed. Like
Mhm.
that's. But I mean, if you watch her fight and take on Brienne, it's like you can't imagine a situation where she's going to get killed.
Right.
But I mean, that's the thing. Anybody can get killed in war, even no matter how good they are, just by like
Sheer dumb luck.
a
Yeah.
stray arrow or something. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Sure.
yeah. So how does Bran fit into this mix in
I
this
really don't
episode?
know. I kind of almost wish, even though it's unsettling to watch Bran a little bit, I kind of wish we were getting a little more because I don't know what they're.
You don't.
He obviously has something he needs to tell John,
Wait.
but
Yeah. What makes you say that again? What's going on there?
well, because in last episode he said I need to speak with John, and he needs to tell him who his real parents are.
Oh yeah, I suppose that's what it is.
But is that his only purpose? I mean, like, why become this all-knowing creature just to learn this one bit of information? That seems like kind of a slow-burning Deus Ex Machina to me.
Um. Yeah. He's got to play a bigger role than that,
I
right?
would think so, and it's obviously he's important because he's been in a lot of the episodes, but it's just we're over halfway, and I still don't know what he's doing.
I mean, I think he already is playing a bigger role. Like the whole dagger thing, like
That was sweet.
there's obviously some importance to that, you know?
Hmm.
Like I'm trying to figure out, did we ever find out who tried to kill Bran with the knife, and do we know for sure who it was?
Um, Not in the show. In the show, it's implied that there was some connection to Tyrion Lannister, but that's probably something that Littlefinger just fed to Lady Catelyn because when Bran asked him who tried to kill him, Littlefinger said, I don't know. Whereas he told Catelyn in season 1 that it was Tyrion. So obviously that was a lie, but that set off everything.
Mhm.
So in the books, it's implied that Joffrey did it um,
Oh,
to please his father because Robert Baratheon said it would be a mercy to kill a cripple. And so, but it's never confirmed.
okay. In the books, it does say that someone I think it's Littlefinger that implies that it is Tyrion's
Yes,
dagger
dagger.
in the
Hmm.
book as well. So that's
I'm
something, that's
pretty
a
sure it's
parallel.
Littlefinger. And Bran knows who it is because he knows everything.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out is like that's kind of where things are going, right? They're basically saying Littlefinger was the one who tried to kill him. He tried to kill him with that dagger, and why is he giving that dagger back to him?
Because Littlefinger is unaware of Bran's full powers. He doesn't know that trying to convince him that he's on his side is pointless.
Right.
An endeavor in futility. So, but I think he's doing it he's trying to woo. He's looking at Bran as like this poor, crippled son of Catelyn Stark when that's not what he is anymore. And
right.
So he's underestimating all the Starks around him, and I think his number's gonna come up here pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense that's kind of what's going on is Littlefinger's used to playing the game with a bunch of idiots, and now he's playing with some like he's underestimating the people he's playing with. And
in creating all this chaos, which you could argue that the whole thing is his fault, the whole story getting underway is not the White Walkers and stuff, but the political part of it is his fault. And in creating that chaos, he has created people who have to learn to adapt and survive. And that's what the Stark children have done, and they are smarter and more powerful because of it.
Right. So what does it mean chaos is a ladder? This is something that Littlefinger says in like season 3.
Yep.
And that's what I had to rewind and listen to Bran because I didn't hear him the first time because I was not expecting those words to come out of his mouth. So,
you weren't like thrown when he said that? I thought that was
I couldn't understand it. I was like, what did he say?
Oh, and did you not remember that scene?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I've only watched each episode. Well, I've seen season 1 a couple times, but the rest of the episodes I've only seen once. So
okay, yeah, that was like an iconic line from or it just kind of took on a life of its own or whatever. But it just means that you create this chaos on purpose, and then you use the mess you've created to elevate yourself, and that's the epitome of what Littlefinger's doing.
That's his like MO. Like is
chaos is a ladder, and I'm going to climb it to the top.
Right. Yeah. So don't you think the combination of these two things, like Bran saying that to him,
yeah,
and then Littlefinger seeing Bran give the dagger to Arya, don't you think those two things, like he's wisened up, he's like, shit, I'm in trouble?
I think after seeing Arya fight with the dagger, he was like, mother effer, what have I done? This is bad.
Do you think he's smart enough to get out of there? Like, while he can?
I don't know where he can go. I mean, what does he do? Where does he go?
I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's where this goes, is Littlefinger just runs. Like,
if he runs, Arya's going to find him. Although I don't know what... Arya's not aware of the extent of what he's done. All it takes is one conversation with Bran, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bran and Mira.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
That was so upsetting to me. Because there was a scene last season. It was right after the cave with Hodor dying and Summer dying. And sorry, my TV's on and it's that commercial with the rapping teacher, and I hate that commercial. But anyway.
A rapping teacher? Oh.
Yeah, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway. So after the cave, there was a scene where Mira and Bran, they both think they're about to die. Like, it's over, game over. And they hug, and you can see the emotion in Bran's face. And now that's just gone. So it's still hard for me to completely grasp that. I know that's what they're trying to show us, is that Bran isn't Bran. When Mira says you died in that cave, I guess he did, because he's not the sweet little boy with the emotions anymore.
Yeah, no, I get it. At the same time, though, I'm thinking, like, he does, like, get the wherewithal to say, thank you for everything. And it's like, well, like, what else but what does she want him to do? Like, bake her a cake or something? Like all he really can do is say, thanks, this is the way things have to be. You know, sorry.
Yeah, I just thought it was a little cold because, I mean, maybe she just wanted more emotion from him, but that's something he's no longer able to give. That's all she
Right.
wanted.
Okay. Yeah,
But
that's
he
fair.
can't give that anymore because they were super tight. They've been together since season 2. In the books, it's kind of implied that there could be like a romantic thing there at some point, but I mean, that's gone.
Yeah. You know, it almost kind of reminds me a little bit of like John Locke in Lost. And this is like this is a spoiler of Lost if you haven't seen
You've
Lost.
had like
So
12 years. It's
yeah.
fine.
So I'm just gonna say this. If you don't want to know, you know, whatever, mute it or something. But it just reminds me of like when you see John Locke back on the screen when he's actually just being possessed by the smoke monster or the man in
Yeah.
black. It's like as a fan of the show, part of you like hopes it's actually John Locke because John Locke was a fan favorite character.
Hmm.
But then sort of like as you start to realize, wait, whoever this is, it's not John Locke, and then you get kind of bummed. That's what it kind of reminds me of with Bran. It's like
Yeah.
he's actually turning into, or he's basically already turned into this like three-eyed crow person who is like, it's an entity that transcends all individual like people. He's a transcendent being. And so
Yeah, it's true.
yes,
I just have,
he absolutely is not Bran. He is a vessel for
I know,
this
that's sad. I
spiritual
have
being.
I have trouble reconciling that idea with the idea that he needs to save Westeros. Like, why the hell does he care?
Um it has to have something to do with the children of the forest, right?
What the hell is that about? Like, are they gonna explain that more? Because whatever they gave us was cool and all, but I feel like it didn't explain it enough. And I feel like that's coming. It looks like that's not coming till next season. This season seems to be all about the war between the powers.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they'll really explain in great detail about the children of the forest?
You know, it's tough because you don't want to, because you mentioned Lost and you see the kind of backlash that show got when they attempted to explain things, and then the same backlash they got when they didn't explain things. So maybe they just couldn't win. But it's like, you know, you don't want to explain something magical like the children of the forest and the White Walkers to death, or it's going to seem not as terrifying or not as mystical or not as cool. But then sometimes people aren't satisfied. So I don't know.
Right. I mean, that's what I thought where Lost is actually very misunderstood is that what am I trying to say here? That basically with origin stories you can go back forever. You know, you can be like, well, what was there before that? Well, what was there before that? And that's I thought that's what Lost was trying to do with the whole lore of the Man in Black and Jacob and they're just basically saying this is as far back as we're gonna go because this is as far back as is relevant to our characters and our story. So it's the same thing with the Children of the Forest. It's like we're gonna go back just far enough to tell you a little bit about the Children of the Forest, but we could just keep going back and back and back and like, okay, what came before the Children of the Forest or where did they come from? It's like you can't explain everything. So I don't think they're going to try. I think they'll give us a little just enough about the Children of the Forest.
I feel like Children of the Forest are done now. Don't you? Like, I don't think we're going to get anything more about the Children of the Forest.
We might not, and that's kind of my point is like a lot of people are going to be pissed about that. Like all the people who never watched Lost or never or just watched enough to be mad about the ending or rip on the ending are going to understand what it's like now. It's like now you see that they can't explain everything because you would just be like just answering questions and that's boring.
And that's not storytelling.
No.
Yeah, well, hypothetically, we'll get an explanation when these books come out, but that's a big if.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe Sam's character will give us more insight into the Children of the Forest.
True. That's true.
I think he's very a good candidate for showing us that world, you know.
I think so too.
Okay, let's move onwards and forwards.
To
what? I don't know.
Dragonstone, John and Danny.
John and
And
Danny.
Davos
Yeah,
and
well, there was a nice segue there, and I didn't even use it.
the Lost thing?
The Children of the Forest.
Oh, yeah.
He shows them drawings in the cave. I saw a funny like little article headline that was exactly the thought I had. I thought it was my own original thought, and I thought it was
Everybody made
hilarious
the same joke.
that he drew these things on the wall himself.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny.
He like is holding the marker.
Yeah,
No,
I thought I had this amazing funny idea, but yeah, everybody thought it, I guess. So
I could see him painting the White Walkers, but like those spiral things were always there. But like he just grabs a paintbrush and like draw, and is really good at drawing, but draws the White Walkers up
obviously
there.
he didn't do that, but
I
thinking
know.
of him doing that is hilarious.
It is hilarious. But yeah, it is a little convenient, but when you think about it, it's like doesn't serve any purpose other than showing Danny that teamwork is a good thing. I mean, it's not like it's this big reveal that's like, yes, Danny, you have to work with us. It's just him taking the opportunity of something he sees and showing it to her and smooth talking her and trying to like, convince her.
Yeah, he just sees it as a possible way to convince her to do what he wants, basically.
Yeah, I don't know why she's so hung up on this bend the knee nonsense.
Yeah, so she wants John to bend the knee. Is he going to? Did he say he would? I can't remember what happened.
They cut away, but I think the implication was that he's still not convinced that he can, because his people, they've been betrayed by Southern rulers, for a long time, and so they don't trust him. And to me, I feel like he should be like, okay, I'll go back home, I'll discuss it with my people, and then I'll get back to you. I feel like that's what he has to do. To be a good king, you shouldn't just make that decision for them. And that's what they're trying to get home with Danny, I think, is that she was the leader they chose, and John was a leader that was chosen. So why would you just randomly make a decision for all your people when you know it's a decision they're not going to like?
Right. Don't you think she got through to him a little bit, though? Like saying, what's more important, your ego or
their survival?
Yeah, or actually winning this war against the White Walkers.
Yeah, apparently that is an like word for word what John said to Mance Rayder back in season 2 or 3 to convince them to come. So like,
yeah. I mean, it's reasonable if you look at it in the big picture sense of like White Walkers. Like, does it matter how you get their help when you're facing the White Walkers? Like, that you need to fight these evil bastards.
And John's so hell-bent on like, this is what we need to be focused on, not Cersei, that you'd think he'd be like, yeah, whatever it takes to get a freaking trio of dragons on my side. Yes, I'll do it.
Right. But I guess, his father's legacy, Winterfell, all that shit.
He'll still be warden in the north, which is exactly what Ned was before he became the hand of the king.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be king in the north. That's an ego thing.
That is kind of an ego thing.
Yeah.
So did you feel romantic subtext with John and Danny, or?
I was going to ask you the same thing, because I feel like that's what a lot of people are speculating about, is like our Jon Snow, and it would be, just to be clear, it would be like an uncle, an aunt, and a nephew.
Yes.
But I mean, then again,
this is Game of Thrones.
This is Game of Thrones, where like brother and sister, and like, so
all kinds of weird.
There's worse. I think there's worse pairings than aunt and nephew.
It's true. And they don't know it is the thing at this point.
Right.
Nobody but Bran at this point, I think, knows it.
Right, but yeah, was there actually anything there? I'm not sure.
So. I felt it.
It seemed like they were like getting awfully close. Like,
yeah, and then he like takes her by the hand, and then the way they look at each other.
Yeah, they have a gaze. They gaze in each other's eyes.
Yeah, and then Davos says something about it. Oh, I saw you looking at her, good heart. And I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
God bless Davos. He's really the best.
He's good. Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that that's where they're going, which makes me think that's what's happening in the book. But then we know that they're related. But then we also know that Jaime and Cersei are related. So like, I just don't know how to feel.
All right, I think we're supposed to let the relative thing go, I guess. And
Mm.
it's kind of
Well,
weird, but
last season people were shipping John and Sansa, and I'm like, that's even worse, isn't it? 'Cause
yeah. Well, is it? I
they're
guess there's.
cousins. Technically, they think they're brother and sister, though.
It's all bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was saying. I'm thinking of like romantic pairings that can happen, and all that,
like where's the line? Where's the
John's
line?
all of John's options are related to him. So it's like Danny's maybe the least related to him.
Yeah, that's weird, man. It's
I
weird.
know.
My only other thought is maybe what we're mistaking for romantic feelings is them sensing their connection as blood
Yeah.
relatives.
Maybe
Like
it's a Luke and Leia thing.
maybe that's all it is. Yeah, maybe it's a Luke and Leia thing. Who
Okay.
knows? We'll see.
I'll buy that.
Um, yeah.
I hope they find out before it goes too far.
So Theon Greyjoy shows up on the beach.
Yes, he does.
What's up with that?
Um, I like Theon, but this is why I was kind of upset that Yara wasn't dead in the second episode, because I'm like, what are we gonna do with Yara? Like, I don't need to see her be saved. Do you?
No.
Do we
Not
care
really.
at this point? There's bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, I mean, let's quickly get Yara back into the mix of like, when it's time to do some battle scenes, she can be in there, fine. But like,
But like, we're gonna have a whole rescue.
is that? Oh yeah, I guess that's why he showed up, huh? He wants.
Yeah, and Danny's gonna be like, Theon, I have bigger problems. Like, go rescue her yourself.
Yeah, that's funny because when I said what's up with that, I literally meant like I don't remember why he was there, and so so that's why he was there. He was there to
Ask the queen for help in saving her.
saving Yara, and so that's going to be what a part of this season, I guess.
I feel like it's probably another reason to come into conflict with Euron.
Right.
Because he'll be back. He hasn't been seen in a couple episodes, or one episode.
Right. He might just be sort of like one of the major villains of this season that we get to have some kind of resolution at the end of the season, like see Euron go down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be satisfying. Not quite as satisfying as watching Joffrey choke or watching Ramsay get eaten by dogs, but, satisfying, I suppose.
You got to have one of those every season, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So what happens? Do they decide to help him? I can't remember.
They don't really decide because Jon tells him that the queen is not there.
Oh, that's right. And that's when we transition over to Jamie and Bronn, and who's this young buck?
That's Dickon. Dickon Tarley. That's Samwell's brother.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Nice. And
his dad is obviously Samwell's dad. If you remember him from last year, he was a giant asshole.
Right. Okay.
So hopefully he got burnt by dragon fire.
That's the guy that says like, oh, if the troops are dragging their feet, just what does he say to do again?
I forget the word he uses.
He basically says some dick thing to do to make sure they keep moving when they're tired.
He's a dick. He's an asshole.
And then Jamie's like, well, those guys like really helped us a lot in that battle at Highgarden, so
let's not do that.
Yeah, let's not do that. But yeah, it just goes to show that even Jamie is not quite the monster. He was. We've been seeing that throughout the whole series that Jamie has multiple dimensions to his character. He's not
needs to break away from Cersei.
Right.
But anyway, I think at the first scene in this episode, they were still by Highgarden. I think at this point at the end, they're pretty close to King's Landing because they said all the gold got through to King's Landing. So they've traveled a great distance.
Okay.
In that span of time. So I was confused the first time I watched it thinking it was like the same place. But no, it's meant to imply that they've gone a long ways with that loot train and most of the gold has made it into the city, which kind of bummed me out because I wanted the dragons to burn the gold. But whatever.
Can dragons burn gold? Like they melt it or something?
Maybe, I suppose.
That seems difficult, but okay.
Not if you're a dragon.
Did you love the symbolism when Braun dropped the gold, or when his gold fell on the ground.
Yeah, it was kind of like, okay, he's for the first time ever in his life choosing loyalty, I guess, over money. Like he's never done that before. So what
Right.
does that say about him? Like he's really loyal to Jamie. Meanwhile, Tyrion, his former BFF, is looking on. That must have been hard for him. Bronn and Jamie probably gonna die, and he has to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't understand like what the show was trying to say, because like Jamie and Tyrion had these expressions on their faces where they were looking around at all the carnage, and it
I
was
think.
tough. It was tough to read if they're saying like Jamie, he's starting to say like, what's the point of all this? Like, what's the point
Mhm.
of all this carnage? Or is he
Mhm.
looking around and saying like, screw Daenerys, that bitch, she just killed all my Lannister men and I hate
Mhm.
her? Which one is it? The second one, and that's why he stupidly goes after her, because he's
I
I get
think
the
it's
sense that maybe that's what it was.
I think it's a mix of both, and like they finally, now that Daenerys has actually unleashed her real power, like I mean, it probably just has to be kind of a state of shock. Like who can go up against this?
Right.
Nobody.
So that
Absolutely nobody. And our only chance is to take out the leader.
Right. So at least part of it is him looking around and saying like, wow, I completely underestimated how difficult this is going to be to deal with this.
I think so. And then that's he's out of some foolish desperation, knowing the only way he can stop it is by taking out she who controls the dragon.
He's like, now's my shot. I'm going to go for it.
Knowing, and everybody knew what a foolish thing it was to do.
Well, Tyrion did. What did he call him? An idiot or something? Or
Yes, many times. An effing idiot.
yeah. Yeah, that part made me laugh.
Yeah, I was surprised he was there. I wouldn't think he'd want to be there. But I think Tyrion, too, like when he's standing next to that Dothraki general or whatever, and he's like, your men don't know how to fight. And he's like, man, you're right. This is sad. I'm watching my house, like, or my people just get slaughtered. You know, he has to have some conflicted emotions there. Obviously, he does. They show it.
Right. I saw an awesome meme today of it's like Robert Baratheon, and he's saying, you would be a fool to fight the Dothraki in an open field. And then it's Jamie, and he says, hold my beer.
I love those hold my beer memes.
Hold my beer.
But it's I mean they
Yeah.
didn't plan on it. They didn't plan on fighting the Dothraki. They had to know it was a possibility though. God, that was so cool. Like the dragon obviously takes the cake, but just to see those Dothraki guys like standing on their horses, like in unison, like this choreographed dance, and then the part where the Dothraki like just ride their horses through the flames. It's like you must. The fighters, I mean, it's fiction, but like the people on the other side must have just thought they were in hell. I mean, it looked like hell on Earth, fires
Right.
and when the Lannister guy like just blew away, he was ash, and he just the wind
Right.
blew him away.
Yeah, that was sweet.
So cool. It was really good at showing, because they've had dragon battles before, but to show the true like terror that a dragon can rain down upon anyone.
Right. Yeah, I felt like this was sort of, they knew that um like we got to get the Dothraki featured one more time before the show is over. They're like, you know, the Dothraki were a huge part of season 1. People are going to be wondering like whatever happened to Dany's Dothraki army, and so they needed a one more battle that could feature these guys, and I think that's what we got here. Maybe we'll see them. We'll see Dothraki soldiers in future battles, but this is kind of their last big feature, I feel like.
Interesting, because
Yeah,
they won.
yeah, well, that's my thought. I just don't think you're going to see a lot more like war
Yeah.
scenes with a full Dothraki army.
That makes sense. I like how
You hardly had seen them at all for a long time
you
until
just see
this
them like
episode.
being her bodyguards. Like you'll see one here, one there. They always are like behind her, kind of. She
But
has
ever
like
since the Unsullied, is it the Unsullied? Is that right?
Unsullied.
Is that
Yeah.
their name? Yeah. Ever since the Unsullied showed up, that's like who they feature as Dany's bodyguards. They kind of left the Dothraki out for a while.
No, I mean in all the episodes this season, like when John came, like there's Dothraki there.
Oh, okay.
Not like a big group, but like a small group of Dothraki as her like personal
Right. So they
guard.
haven't completely left it out, but
No.
I don't know. That was my take on it. Was like, this is the last time they're going to really feature them, and we got a really good showing, of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
I like how the two major like battle scenes this season, like I didn't expect them. The one with the ships in episode 2, and then this one were just like kind of. Whereas before in most of the big battle episodes, it's like built up, it's coming. But these two have been like out of nowhere.
Part of that is because we'd read the books and we know when battle scenes are coming.
Battle of the Bastards wasn't in the books,
right? But that
was hyped up as
that
an
example
episode.
fits. That example fits what you're saying. That they're like, the Battle of the Bastards. It's gonna happen. It's coming.
Yeah.
But
there's always like
having read the books, there were some battles I think that you might not see coming if you hadn't read the books. But maybe.
But I mean, like in the promotional material, like you knew episode 9 in season 2, the Blackwater was coming. The Watchers on the Wall episode, like it's hyped up as a battle episode. But these two battles have just kind of been like exclamation points on already good episodes.
Right. Yeah. No. Good point. Yeah. So Bronn takes out the dragon with a friggin'.
That was Bronn? Like, you couldn't see who that was, but it's probably Bronn.
Yeah, that was Bronn.
I thought you meant that saved Jaime. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, but that was probably Bronn there, too, both times.
So, yeah.
I don't know who else it would be. And I thought I saw Bronn, like, in that profile of him. It looked like Bronn to me. I don't know.
Okay.
But, yeah, so is Jaime dead?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. He seems like
he wasn't in the preview for next week, and Tyrion looks awfully sad in next week's episode. So I don't know.
Well, they're probably pulling a Glenn. That's all I gotta say.
They better not, because I got no respect for Glenn's.
It's a Walking Dead Glenn thing where basically they make you think he's dead. They don't show him for several episodes, if not for the rest of the season. Make you wonder.
That's bullshit. If he doesn't show up for the rest of the season,
I think they're pulling.
I'm gonna have a valid complaint about this show.
I think that's what they're gonna try and pull.
I don't think it'll be the rest of the season. Obviously, if Bronn saved him, Bronn does not wear metal armor, and the implication is Bronn can pull him out of the water.
Right. Yeah. I think he'll be fine.
So I don't think it's a Glenn dumpster situation.
We'll see.
But that incident got me to stop watching that show. So let's not mess around with stuff like that.
Yeah, don't want Katie to stop watching your show that 8 billion people watch.
Yeah, you don't want to lose me.
Yeah, so one part I forgot to mention that just made me grin a shit-eating grin from ear to ear was when Arya was talking to Brienne and they're like, who taught you to fight like that? And she's like, no one.
Knowing that only she got it, but she was laughing pretty hard inside her head.
And the audience. I mean, that's what it's all about. We invest all this time into the show and love watching it, and we know every little detail. And when we get little nods, nods to the audience for paying attention, it just makes you grin, So I had to mention that.
I enjoyed that.
Anything else you want to talk about from the episode?
No, I'm sad at how fast it's going. Sucks.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
But these have been awesome episodes, so I guess it's worth it.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so that'll do it for the recap of Game of Thrones for this episode. Episode 4. Yeah, I still haven't gotten to the movies yet.
Me either. There's nothing good out. Like, I
really want to
see Dark Tower, but it looks like garbage. I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, yeah, as a fan of the books, like I've read all the books, and it's honestly, The Gunslinger is in the running for my favorite fiction book of all time.
Okay.
It's up there. It might be number 1. So I'm a big fan. But yeah, the movies look like shit. I feel like they ruined it. They could have done such a better job.
8 long books, and they made a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, I can't understand it. and it just looks bad. You know, it just looks
It
like
looks bad. It
it
does.
looks tacky. It just looks tacky.
I just, but whatever. Apparently,
Yeah,
they have a tough time making Stephen King stories be good.
that It movie looks really good.
It does. It looks terrifying.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it
want
looks
to
like
watch
it
it.
looks really well done and artistic, and
Yes.
like
It looks better than The Dark Tower.
it looks like somebody cared enough to try.
Yeah. I heard that Idris Elba is really good in it, but that's the only thing good people are saying about it.
Yeah, have you heard a lot about what people are saying? I haven't heard
Yeah,
anything.
I've heard it's bad.
Yeah, everyone's like it's bad.
Well, reviews. I don't know about actual humans that have seen it. I haven't talked to
What
anybody.
I'm curious to hear is like what real fans like myself have to say about it. Like,
That's a good
are they satisfied, you know, with what it is for what it is, you know? Like,
I'm sure you could find out.
I'm sure I could. I've just been sort of like I'm
Wary
always
of it.
worried if I dig too much, I'll get spoiled, you know?
Yeah. Well, you've
So
read all 8 books. What could they possibly tell you that will be a spoiler?
yeah, well, that's the thing. I heard the movie is like not the books; it's a different story too, and that's another reason I'm not really satisfied with what they're doing here.
You have 8 books of material.
Yeah, I want a true adaptation. You know, so
Nonsense.
but yeah, so no Dark Tower yet, no Baby Driver. It might be fun to talk about one of those movies if I finally go and you go to Dark Tower or what. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Anyways, let's move on to talking about Alone, season 4, episode 8.
Okay.
Your boys, Jim and Ted.
They're about to die.
They are
If they
literally
don't die of
dying.
starvation, they're going to kill each other. So either way, they're on the verge of death.
Yes, they're gonna die somehow, either of starvation or murder.
Yeah. One of those double murder homicide situation. They're gonna die. They're not gonna win.
So are you team Jim or team Ted?
I don't know the difference.
With
I
this,
still don't know the difference.
with this argument they're having.
I think I do know the difference. Wait, is Jim the one who refuses to forage?
I don't know.
You don't know either. Okay. The one who's sitting and eating, sitting by the fire, I'm team him. Whoever that one is.
So you think it's dumb to be like foraging so much? You think he's overdoing it?
I think if you have a disagreement about what is best, arguing about it is just going to take more of your energy. You're not going to force this guy to do it. So do what you want to do and then just coexist, because this, like, the quote at the beginning of the episode was hell is other people. And that's what they're doing to each other. They're bringing each other down even more than they are down already because of their lack of food and energy and the constant fighting. Wow, it's probably a result of their depleted, energy and stuff. It's also not helping the situation. So I think they both maybe just need to do their own thing and shut up about it. And like when the guy lost the crab pot, like they were, being nice to each other. And then when it sunk, he had to go and blame the guy on the shore. Like, instead of just being like, oh shit, that sucks, he was like, it's your fault, you did it wrong. And it's like, what does that accomplish? It accomplishes nothing. And it's just making them more depressed and more down and out. And it's just not, they just need to quit.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how starvation can really like bring out these like primal, negative things that like are buried deep inside of you. It's like, as brothers, they have these tensions between them, but like once you take away everything, all creature comforts, like they're not even eating, like all these issues bubble to the surface, and like it's like a raw nerve exposed. And that it's always fascinating. Like, it's kind of messed up that we get to sit and watch this on our couches. I always think
I feel like I always think about
it's if you really think about it, how like messed up that is. But it is what it is. Yeah.
That's kind of why I like it when it's just the person, because if they screw up, they've got no one to blame but themselves. And then it's usually a gentler conversation. But this is just very heated and dark stuff between these two. And the other two teams, they're doing better, but they're also like super supportive of each other. And you have to wonder if there's a connection there.
Right. So yeah, what do you think is the solution? Or like that's kind of what I meant by like whose side are you on too? Because like, do you think the guy sitting by the fire should just get up? Because you were saying they need to compromise or make nice. Should he get up and help, or should the other guy like shut up and sit down? Or is there a compromise?
I think they should both do a little bit of both. You know, be like, okay, I'll forage for an hour. I feel like it's all the energy I have, but I'm gonna help you for an hour, and that's it. And then the other guy's like, okay, I'll sit with you by the fire for an hour.
Exactly. Like a compromise needs to happen here, where he's like, exactly, I'm gonna help you for this long, but in return, you have to sit with me, and we're gonna talk about something like lighthearted, because that's the one guy's standpoint is he's like, we need to lighten up. Like it's this like this negative energy is not good for our situation.
It's terrible. You can just feel it, even coming off the TV screen. You can feel what kind of misery they're in.
Yeah, it's bad.
They can't catch fish. They can't do anything. Whereas the other two groups are like eating crab and loading up on fish, and you have to. I mean, is it luck or is it just the energy they're putting out there?
I think it's always a little bit of luck, but I also feel like Jim and Ted maybe just aren't that good at this. Like, no, just I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but like, obviously they're a million times better than I am, or probably ever will be, at survival skills, because I, haven't done much of it. So I'm not one to judge, but it seems like they're just not very good. Like
they keep messing up.
They make a lot of mistakes and
hurting themselves.
They're not doing good.
No, and it looks like there's a tap next episode. I'd be shocked if it was anyone but that team. And that sucks because they're my winner picks, but I just want them for their own sakes to go home.
Well, what day are we on here?
They went up to day 38 or 39 on this one.
Holy cow. So yeah.
So it jumped up a lot.
So you got to imagine we're really close to the end here.
There's only 2 episodes left.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a tight race. So
yeah, those other two
teams. It really could be anybody. It might not be Jim and Ted, because
I mean,
it's such a tight race. I don't think it's going to go much farther as far as days go.
True. Okay. Well, the chalk pick, as Rob Sesternino likes to say, would definitely be Jim and Ted going out next episode.
What does he say? The chuck pick?
The chalk pick. I don't even know what that means, but that's what he says when you mean like if you were just going to pick, not knowing anything about what happens next week, who's most likely to go home.
Okay, yeah. Chalk it up to
Jim and Ted.
Something like that. Jim just needs to continue staying in his happy place with the unicorn.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate that he can still find little bits of humor, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Ted's going to find that happy place with the unicorn. So I guess Jim just has to try to stay there.
Yeah.
So should we discuss other people?
Yeah.
How about
2 other teams?
Brooke and Dave?
Team Whipple?
Yeah, Team Whipple.
They look like they're thriving, other than almost burning down the cabin. Then I think they're good. It looks like Brooke is still struggling quite a bit, but that fish feast must have probably helped a lot. But like they said, you'd have to eat how many fish to put any weight on? Like, it's impossible for them to eat that much, but...
Right. So, yeah, they just need to keep, eating as much as they can to get them through. Because like we said, they're really close to the end here. I feel like they just kind of got to eke it out.
Yeah.
And it's definitely possible.
What I notice is, like, every single one of these people, I guess maybe not Pete and Sam as much, but every time everyone moves, it's like, like, it's hard for them just to move.
Just to move, yeah. I mean,
you can hear it.
Yeah, I mean, we can't even imagine the struggle.
no, like it sounds
Yeah.
terrible. I don't know why they sign up for this, but it's, at least Brooke and Dave have that nice little cabin. They can play checkers. They have each other. It's, they're
Yeah,
doing
they're
way better than
they're
than
romantic partners. Like they're
yeah.
there with their significant other. Like that's got to be a huge lift, you know.
Yeah. So
Even though they probably don't feel like touching each other because
no, I wouldn't think
they're
so.
like all gross. But yeah, they're doing well when they're able to start making games.
Yeah,
Like
that's very Fowler-esque.
they're making a checkerboard, so
Yeah.
I think they're doing okay. My favorite part was when Dave goes, he's like, then I'm gonna beat my wife at checkers.
Yeah, I didn't even make that connection.
Well, I don't
I'm
know. That's the thing. I don't know if he meant it that way, but like he kind of left a little pause in there, and I don't know if it was intentional or not. But I don't think it was intentional. But
I don't think it was.
To me, it
I
was
didn't
hilarious
read it that way.
because there was just enough of a pause where he's like, "Then I'm gonna beat my wife at checkers."
I did not even notice that. Oh my, that's funny.
It was good. Sorry, I have a sick mind sometimes.
No, it's funny. I'm glad he clarified.
Let's see. Yeah, Brooke and Ted. Anything else about them? They talked a lot about pushing the button. Dave showed us. He showed us the thing is called the yellow brick.
Is that what he calls it?
Calls it that's what I guess that they refer to it as.
Because it's that phone.
Yeah, it's like the yellow brick road to go home.
Oh, that's clever.
Yes.
That's really clever. I like that. Yeah, I thought it was like a jump ahead in time, and they were showing how down and out Brooke and Dave were, but he was like, "No, I'm not interested in that button." I was like, "Oh, you got me."
Well, he's like, "I push this button, I can get steak and eggs and a hot shower, but we lose," and he doesn't want to do that. So
I think they're gonna win.
It sure seems that way, but I mean, Pete and Sam, I still feel pretty good about them.
Well, yeah, they're so boring that they must be doing so well that they just don't even show them that much.
Yeah, there's always, I feel like they fit the bill for a second or third place.
The Carly mold.
There's always characters that do well, but they're not getting enough screen time to really feel like
a winner.
A winner, yeah.
To me, the winners seem like Team Baird, like the edit they're getting, but
I mean,
there's
they
no
certainly could win. Like I said, it's going to be a tight race.
Well, they're stubborn as shit, so they could maybe win out of sheer stubbornness, but those other two teams are just doing so much better than they are.
Right. I mean, it really could come down to, Pete and Sam just can't do it anymore.
They look like they're going to start, because they've had such a positive attitude, but they look like that's going to end next week.
Yeah, the previews for next week. I mean, is there anything scarier than a super nice man losing his shit?
Going, God damn it. No, that's terrifying.
I know. I've always kind of hated that as your cliche nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've hated that, when you're usually so nice and all that, that anytime you express anger, it's not okay. Like, you're not allowed to do that because it's like, where's this coming from? You're always so nice. It's like, well, I can get mad too. I'm entitled to be mad. But yeah, that's kind of how it is with those nice guys. Like Pete, when he flips out, it's like, whoa. It's like, no, not cool, man. Not cool,
you need
bro.
To go relax, bro.
You need to relax, bro.
Yeah, that looks scary. But as of this week, it looks like Pete and Sam are just kind of hanging out, building a ladder, catching some crab. Nothing too scary or bad.
Yeah, didn't Sam finally had a victory here?
I think he caught the crab, yeah.
Yeah, so that was good because
still not a fish,
he's
Sam.
Supposed to be the expert fisherman, and Pete's the only one who caught a fish the whole time there.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just says a lot about Sam, though, as a person, that he never let it get to him. Like he always was encouraging to his dad. It was never personal or selfish.
Yeah, it's interesting because when he was on the hike by himself, I felt he was a little more negative. But now that he's with his dad, I feel like he just wants to keep his dad's spirits up. And so he's making an extra effort to be more positive and uplifting. And he's always like, way to go, Dad. Like, I feel like he's doing it for his dad. But eventually that could wear thin.
Obviously, it's going to.
Well, Pete's the one who gets mad. I don't know what Sam.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what Sam does, but I'm sure it's like not even warranted. I'm sure it's just Pete, like, being old and
shooting off at the mouth.
Well, frustrated by like his inability to do something as an older guy, I'm sure.
Right, or just hunger, or
it takes it out on Sam. Pete says Sam will be this was the sort of like big philosophical. We talk about how there's always like a big philosophical like expression from one of our teams or characters every episode just about. I feel like this episode's was Pete's talk about like our purpose is to make biological replacements, which I mean, I don't
remember that part.
There is an argument for that you know, we need to leave behind our next of, I mean, we have to reproduce, procreate. Otherwise, nothing comes after us, right?
Yeah.
But there is overpopulation, so not everybody needs to procreate. You know, not everybody needs to, you know,
leave genetic copy,
have kids. Exactly. So you can't say everyone's purpose is to do that, but that's how he feels. And he was just saying Sam will be a wonderful father. But yeah, what if Sam doesn't want kids? You know, what about that?
Yeah, what if he wants to just live in the woods by himself and go fishing or try to become a better fisherman?
Yeah. Come on, Pete. Back off.
Back up off me. Maybe that's what their fight's about. I don't want to have kids, Dad.
But your purpose as a human is to procreate.
You have to leave a biological replacement.
But yeah, I thought there's always room for an interesting discussion there, but I don't know how far we'll go down that road. Probably no farther.
Probably.
Let's leave it at that.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave that one alone.
Brooke's talking about her kids.
Yep.
So that's not good.
Biological replacements.
Yeah, talk about her biological replacements.
Yep.
Dave
that's
is wiped.
not good.
Dave is wiped. They're both wiped.
She's lost 20 pounds, and I don't know how much she weighed to begin with, but it probably wasn't much.
That's a lot for a little lady. That's a lot.
Yeah. So it's no wonder she's like struggling to move, and then she had to rebuild the chimney. So I don't know. I mean, they seem like they're thriving and doing well, but all it takes is a couple bad days, you know, to want to take the yellow brick and go home.
Yep. Do you have to pee?
Kind of, yeah.
I was going to grab a soda. You want to take turns?
Well, are we done talking about Alone, or are we going to go into Big Brother?
Yeah, I was thinking we're going to go into Big Brother.
Okay. Nothing else to add about Alone?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just Pete and Sam. Pete and Sam.
It doesn't sound like you have anything else to say.
Pete and Sam. Well, they talked about like what they want to do with the money when they win, and said they want to buy a boat, and Sam wants to take a year off of work.
Oh, what is his job?
I don't know, but I think he's like a fishing something. He's a fish. That's his job. He's like a fish person.
Is he though?
Yeah, he is.
Seems like that was career experience wasted.
I know. He's like a wildlife something or other, I'm pretty sure.
And he hasn't caught one fish in the wilderness for 40 days.
Right. I don't get it. Yeah, I was like, dude, yeah, if I won a bunch of money, you better believe I'd take a year off of work.
Or invest and not ever work again.
Yeah.
That's the dream. But
if you make good investments, but
those don't pay off immediately. So
yeah, if you're talking about stock market and shit, that's like gambling, you know. Yeah. You never know if it's gonna actually pay off.
It's true.
But I mean, you could take half of it and invest it, the other half, and just take a year off of work.
Yep.
But
If
yeah,
not longer.
that's all I had to say is that I would do the same exact thing if I was Sam.
No, yeah, you and Sam are on the same wavelength. So that's
Totes.
good. I don't really know what else to say about. I mean, that was really. I think the Bairds were kind of, for better or for worse, the star of this episode, and maybe that's reason to believe they're going to go home next week. I think they will.
Sure. I think it could be anybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really do.
Well, it looks like one of them's having abdominal pains, and that's never good. So, right, they're
True.
stubborn. Like we said, they're so stubborn. I can't believe how stubborn they are.
Right. They could just lay there for days and
With
not,
abdominal pains.
yeah, and just lay around for days and then win.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like, yeah, don't underestimate their stubbornness.
Yeah, that might win them the money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, that'll do it for the recap of Alone, season 4, episode 8.
2 episodes left.
That's right. So shall we get into the Big Brother discussion?
Oh, I guess we have to.
Why is it bad?
It's just nobody's left. They're all still there, and it's been like 50 days, and there's still 12 people in the house, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's weird.
I think by this time last year, they were at least probably down to 10. They're over halfway, and they've only lost like 4 people. It's unbelievable. They're gonna have like 4 double evictions.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, man.
It's bizarre. I hope they don't have another battle back with the jury. Like, once you go to the jury, just stay there. Don't come back. We don't need you to come back. We need to get this show on the road.
Right.
So, geez, where are we? This week, on the block right now, after the veto, Mark won the veto. So on the block right now, you have Jessica, Elaine.
Mark took himself off of the block, right?
Yes, he did. And there were people, Matt and Raven were saying it's so selfish of him to take himself off the block. And I'm like, dude, that is like Big Brother 101. If you are on the block, you win the veto. That is your right and your duty as a game player to remove yourself off the block.
Yeah, what do they
Don't listen to these assholes.
Who do they want him? They want him to just not use the veto?
Yeah, because then one of them has to go up as a pawn. And it's like,
well, okay, so why don't you want to go up as a pawn? Same reason I don't want to be on the block.
Same reason Mark doesn't want to go on the block. Exactly. If they thought about it for 2 seconds, they would get it. But they're just like, and the same thing.
Yeah, that's true selfishness, is not even considering why he might want to take himself off the block.
I know, it's absolutely ridiculous. But he took himself off the block. Thank God. I would have been like so annoyed with him if he had.
I almost would have guessed he's stupid enough to not do that, but yeah, he did the right thing.
They actually didn't edit that into the show, so I only knew about that from the reading about the live feeds and stuff. But it was like a big conversation, but wasn't mentioned on the show.
So anyway, him taking himself off the block was on the show was just a quick little I'm taking myself, but there was discussion.
Not very much, just about maybe who's going to go up as a replacement.
Right, there was discussion about that. That wasn't shown, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes, a lot.
Okay.
And it was mostly from Matt and Raven, the useless idiots.
Dude, Matt's going to kick it in. He's a sleeper.
Dude, what's he doing with Raven? Like, that makes you think twice about what kind of person he is. Unless he's, completely using her, which I'll applaud him if that's the case, because that's how much I can't stand this girl. And I am not alone.
I just called her an idiot. I can't do that. I don't know. I haven't really been watching.
Let me explain Raven.
What I really mean is she, from what I've seen, she annoys me. That's what I mean.
I don't know how the people in the house are still not annoyed. I listened to part of one conversation she was a part of today, and it was Kevin was trying to talk about something, and she just doesn't wait for him to finish. She interjects, or she's like Kevin asked her about her friend who was a cosmetologist, and she's like, yeah, he's my really good friend. And something interesting about him is the only reason he became a cosmetologist is because I told him to. That is Raven in a nutshell. Every story comes back to her and how amazing she is and how strong she is, or how victimized she's been, or how many diseases she has. And it's just the most grating thing. And I can't understand how these people have not murdered her.
Yeah, I remember now them talking about this aspect of Raven, like in the podcast and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a few weeks ago, they were saying this part of Raven starting to come out, and everybody is getting annoyed by it. And that was a long time ago when I was hearing about this.
Well, it seems like the audience was onto it quick, but I feel like the house is just now, within the last week or so, had enough.
Yeah. I've known so many people like this that
It's
like
true.
it's people who are so deeply insecure that they feel like obligated to validate themselves all the time. Like, I'm good enough. Like, see, I did this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm awesome, right? Like, it's like they're constantly convincing themselves out loud that
Yeah.
they have worth,
To the
you
point
know?
they're not capable of having like a real like valuable conversation because it always has to be manipulated in such a way that it comes back to you and it comes back to how much you know, how much smarter you are. I mean, this is Raven and Kevin talking. I mean, I'm not saying 23-year-olds don't know stuff, but someone 30 years older than you has a lot more life experience, and maybe you don't need to try to one up them. And maybe they do know more than you about some things. You know, it's just like I feel like there's so much, like, I watch this a little bit and I'm like, if I was in that conversation, it could be an actual interest. I mean, not to be like, oh, I'm amazing, but like,
You're doing it. You're
I
doing the
know I'm
thing.
being
You're
a Raven, but
validating
like, I
yourself.
feel like I can see the path this conversation could take and should take in order to make it a good conversation. But you have egomaniacs and insecure people like Raven and Elena in there, and it's just becomes just gross thing that no one wants to listen to. Maybe
Right.
that's the only kind of people they can get on Big Brother.
Yeah, I feel like people like this do themselves disservice by, not allowing themselves to get outside of themselves and listen to other people and
Listen.
truly seek, like, one of the rules from, I never actually read this book, but I know it's one of the rules from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People
Uh-huh.
is seek to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
Meaning before you do want to be understood. That's a goal you should try to achieve, but
Mm-hmm.
always first seek to understand. And that's what people like this don't do. They're never listening to understand other people. They're only listening, like, well, to get in there, like, I did
Yeah.
this.
It's
So
becoming so out of hand. But that's one of the reasons I think Kevin is playing such a good game because you see him asking people questions. Like that whole conversation about the cosmetologist. He's like, "So what would you be doing on a Thursday or Wednesday afternoon in your normal life?" And then she's like, "Oh, I'd be hanging out with my friend." "Okay, tell me about him." Like he does that. He goes the extra mile, he asks questions and he retains it. Whereas the other people just nah, 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 nah. I would be here and I'm amazing and I'd be at a concert because I'm so fun.
but yeah,
It's
you
like,
are talking about Kevin here, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
Kevin's the opposite of Raven.
this is a 50 some year old man. So like
Yes.
he does have that wisdom and experience, but I'm sure he was like this when he was her age, probably.
Well, there's very few people like Raven. Let's not put that on Kevin.
Yeah.
Like, he might have been a little bit more self-centered, sure, but in his own way. Like,
Sorry, what I meant
Raven.
was he was probably still like the Kevin of now. He was like that when he was Raven's age.
Oh,
He was
yes.
still Kevin. He was
Okay,
still
yes.
like wise enough to listen to people at Raven's age, I guess.
Yeah,
I didn't mean he was like Raven. Sorry.
oh, sorry, I thought that's
Yeah.
what you meant. No, but yeah, like he listens and other people talk. And I don't
Right.
understand how you can't see that you're doing it wrong when you're
That's why
doing
I
that.
think, Kevin probably will go far unless somebody like sniffs it out, which like someone like Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, might sniff out Kevin as a
Yeah,
good
but I
player.
feel like he looks at Kevin as one of his closest allies.
Right. And that's good.
Yeah, Kevin's in a very good spot.
Does Kevin want to knock out Paul in any way, or?
He's mentioned it a couple times. I think he's been a little bit annoyed with being told what to do. But as of right now, he's sticking with Paul, and I think that's the right thing to do. Because once they get Jessica out this week, and it might take a little bit longer to get Cody out because he can win competitions, but once they get Cody out, then everybody's supposedly Team Paul, and then they have to start
Right.
cannibalizing. And the way I see it is the two showmances, Mark, Elena, Matt, Raven, go next, and then you have the final.
Then it's open. Yeah, it's open up. Yeah. So tell me one more time who's on the block as of now.
You have actually all the girls of the showmances. So you have Jessica, Elena, and Raven.
So somebody's losing their showmance.
Yes, Cody's losing his showmance.
Yeah, it's gonna be Jessica, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, Josh,
because they've been basically alienating everyone. They haven't been doing anything to mend
they're terrible. They act like they have been so shat upon and the world has just been cruel to them. And they have done it to themselves. If you go back to week 1, before they even after they tried to put Paul up and betrayed their entire alliance, since then, instead of like trying to mend fences, they acted like they were the victims and isolated themselves in the HOH room. And until the moment Cody walked out the door, it was just those two. And they didn't talk to anybody else. Then Cody left. Jessica actually did a decent job of mending some fences and making relationships with other people. And her stock went up, and I thought she could do really well. And I knew Cody was going to sink her game. And here she is going out before he is. So he shouldn't have come back.
Yeah, I remember, you saying that on the podcast, that if Cody comes back, her game is over.
And it is.
And lo and behold, it didn't take long. What was he in the house, a week or something? She basically did exactly what we talked about last week. I was like, if she uses this halting hex, it's just bad for the show because it's only going to extend this one more week with the same outcome. And that's exactly what happened. And
it actually is a different outcome because Cody was going to go home and they told her, they were like, if you use it, we're coming after you. And granted, it's like a threat, but it's a threat they, came through on.
Right. But the way I see it, Cody and Jessica are going back to back. It doesn't matter which one goes first.
Unless Cody wins HOH. But the thing is, they still have one more week of that temptation competition, which he won this week. So he could very easily win that again this week. So he'd be safe for this week.
This temptation competition keeps him safe?
Yeah, whoever wins that competition is automatically safe for the week. Whoever loses the competition is automatically the third nominee. But this is the last week of it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good chance Cody could win some of that stuff. So Cody could hang tight for a while. I mean, if he can hang tight a couple weeks and a couple of these other randoms get knocked out, I mean, well, I guess you got those. You mentioned the two couples that aren't as in the center of the alliance.
Yeah.
I feel like there's plenty of them to get out before Cody and then still get out Cody.
Yeah, so and I think
he's got a long ways to go.
I feel like that was maybe the plan. Like, I think Kevin wanted to work with Cody, but then yesterday, instead of, like, there were openings for Jessica to stay in the game. Like, she just had to work a couple of votes here and there, and she could have figured something out. But she decided to take the opposite approach and attack Josh in front of everybody and call him a fat ass and all this stuff. And so that turned Kevin off, and like, Cody went up to him like he was going to physically hit him or something. So Kevin was turned off by that, and I don't think he wants to work with Cody anymore. So he might have screwed himself over there. Like, every time there's an opening for these guys, they find a way to ruin it for themselves because they're so butthurt about, oh, this game, it's just been us against the house, and I don't know why they want to be against us because we're amazing and we're in love. And they're not in love. They're going to get out of the house, and Jessica's going to be like, Cody's a psycho. I need to not date him. What have I done? And
I could have sworn they like almost broke up. I watched the episode. I watched an episode last Thursday.
Yeah,
and I could have sworn they like kind of broke up in that episode.
Yeah, and then they got back together and
like immediately.
Cody brought out the worst in her. Like, she didn't have this attitude, this real bitchy streak until like he was there. And maybe that's just her real personality, but she kept it in check when he wasn't around to protect her. But they're just, everyone in this game, it's hard to root for anybody because people were rooting for Cody and Jessica because they were underdogs, but they aren't. Girl, let's not root for them either.
Yeah, it's funny because like after watching last Thursday's episode, I was like, I'm rooting for Jessica and Cody, and like it was because just because I felt like in that episode, it was the one where everyone was like acting like children.
Yeah, that was. We talked about that last week because that was
in the feeds.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
but
that was unacceptable. Yes.
And the way they were treating them, I was like, of course I want to see Cody and Jessica do something to get rid of a couple of these people that are acting like children.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of on their side, but then the more I hear about like their gameplay and stuff, I'm like, I just can't get behind it. You know,
I mean, that's how bad it is. Like your underdogs were so like ganged up on, but there's such crappy like players and
and honestly not great characters,
not great
people.
seeming characters or people that like people have jumped off that bandwagon. I mean, they still have fans, don't get me wrong, but like they don't have the overwhelming support they did a week ago.
Right. Yeah, so tomorrow is eviction night.
Yes, it's been 2 weeks since some asshole went home. I can't believe it.
And it's just going to be Jessica, which is just so like not effective.
I know, like let's get on with it. Kevin said something last week. It's like, can we have a quadruple eviction? Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yeah, so is there anything else to talk about, like with it being so straightforward?
Well, the only thing I read on the feeds today was that Mark was talking to Jason about wanting to get Paul out, which is...
Whoa, that's huge.
Yeah, so I don't know if Jason's going to run and tell Alex, who will definitely tell Paul. But if Jason keeps it to himself, which he might, maybe things won't be as straightforward as we think.
Right. I don't think this is information that Mark should be sharing with anybody unless he's HOH. Like,
it might, because he's already kind of a target. If Jason tells Alex and Alex tells Paul, Mark's in trouble.
Yeah, if you're HOH, you're immune that week. I mean,
True.
Go for it. You're going to lose anyways if you don't do something soon. So like that would be the move that would make Mark actually worthy of maybe winning. But
yeah, he hasn't done much. That's for sure. He got shot in the groin a lot tonight by the Otev pig with his bile. That probably sounds ridiculous to you if you haven't watched the episode.
No idea what that means.
Okay, well, it was something.
It was a thing that happened.
Yeah. Something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say about Big Brother.
That's it for Big Brother?
Yeah, other than let's just get on with it, please. I bet you $100 that next week is a double eviction.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be cool.
If not a triple. Like, let's have a triple.
Let's do a triple.
Let's.
Screw it. Let's go for it. Triple eviction.
Triple eviction. They do it in Canada.
There you go. That's a lot of evictions.
Well, what they do is they have 3 nominees, and then the people vote for who they want to stay. And then the other 2 go home.
Oh, so it's a double eviction.
Well, they have a regular eviction first, like the American double eviction, and then they do the really fast second and third evictions.
Whoa, I didn't think they would actually do that. That's crazy.
Have you ever seen a double eviction episode? It's intense.
Nope. Never seen that.
Well, maybe you should watch this year. Might be next week. Probably is next week.
Yeah, I might have to.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Right on. Anything else you want to tack on to the end of this podcast?
Not really. This is about the extent of my pop cultural involvement at the moment. We've talked about all of it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were gonna do a fun, different kind of podcast. When do you think we might do that, Katie? When's that gonna happen?
Early next week.
Do you work this weekend or?
Yes.
Why do you work weekends? That's absurd.
I'm sorry. That was the arrangement.
That's absurd.
I'm sorry, but I would say tomorrow night. But Big Brother's on at 8, and I don't know if you want to go later than that. So we'll see. I'd say by early next week at the latest.
Okay. So watch out for a unique podcast.
Something special.
But Yeah, it'll only appeal to a small demographic, I'm sure. So
Might be a bigger demographic than you would think.
that could be. I just think it's going to be a lot of fun for us.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
me too.
Um, yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you guys for listening.
Yep,
Follow
thank you
us
very much.
on Twitter at TV is our real mom,
Yes, please
and
do.
be sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Bye.